filmmaker Mr. Siddharth Malhotra. Who's Mr. Malhotra? Actor-producer Mr. Soham Shah. Let us hear it loud for actor Ms. Divya Dutta. And let the cheering continue for our moderator, prominent film critic and entertainment head midday, Mr. Mayank Shekhar. We have a galaxy of personalities here. You may please take your seats while I request 𝗙vickrम Sahay, Joint Secretary, PNA, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting.
And I think the most important part is that we have been producing some very good original content and value-based content, and it has also given a huge opportunity. A lot of young stars, talents, who otherwise could not find the space in the film industry, in a typical film which is being produced in Bombay and other parts of the country. They got that space, they got that opportunity. Yesterday we had a session of 𝗙𝗪𝗏, and they were young boys and girls who are there. Now they become household names of 𝗙𝗪𝗏. And that is the real power of OTT, where young people, they could be a music director, it could be an actor, it could be a script writer. They're all getting the chances, their opportunities to showcase their talent. And that has come very hugely. And we in the ministry, well, the best thing which a ministry can do in such matters is to keep itself away and let the sector grow. So we talked about self-regulation, and that is what we did, trying to have a sort of self-regulatory environment, enabling the sector to grow on its own and let it self-discipline and grow. That is the best way it can grow. And that is what we try to do. And a lot of collaborative exercises have taken place between the government and the media entertainment sector, also in OTT. So talking about collaboration, I'll just take a few minutes. About less than a year, about 6 months back, on the occasion of 𝗙𝗵𝗶𝗵 𝗪𝒛, an idea struck that let us develop a mobile game. A mobile game which can talk about the content about India's freedom struggle. So we developed that game collaborating with Zynga. Zynga is an Indian company and it's also a multinational. So we developed that game, and the entire content was prepared by the ministry, within the ministry, with the vetting of the Indian Council of Historical Research. And in a record time of 45 days, this game was developed. And today is just about a month since we launched that game. So I thought this is a good platform, just try to tell you about what this game is all about. So it's a small video. You will just see and try to appreciate what it is, and especially for the youngsters, boys, girls, teachers, students, and even for parents. This is something which is now becoming quite popular. So can we just have a video? It's both in English and Hindi, and we kept a few prizes just to incentivize, just let children enjoy it. So we are having some small mugs, some keychains, and also we'll call these young boys and girls, wherever they are, to our Doordarshan studios or all the radio. They can speak about themselves, speak about their experience, what they think, what is their vision. That's what we're trying to do. And we have shared it with schools also. But then what we did was, that was 5 days back, we thought we must promote in a different way, in the language which boys and girls understand. So we prepared a small song, about 30-second song. And then we were thinking, how should this song be playing? We thought it should be a rap song. So we prepared a small rap, and that is now being aired on All India Radio. So can we just listen to that 30-seconder?
To context, and also telling us all about the Azadi Quest app in a nutshell. I will now invite Mr. Gaurav Banerjee, Head Content, Disney Plus Hotstar.
Thank you to Ficci Frames. This is indeed quite an honor to be back here in person and to talk to all of you. I was just telling Lena off stage that I have been here at Ficci Frames since 2012, So personally for me, 10 years of coming to this conference, and by God, is this good to be here back in person with all of you. So thank you so much. We have a license to operate from society. When we violate its terms, this can be revoked. These words are from George Weinhauser, a lumber baron who stated this in 1977 when asked how he viewed his firm's position. And this holds true for every business and most definitely for media and entertainment, for all of us here today. We do operate from a license from society. We are accountable to society, and we must never forget this. I believe all that creativity works, it does so in the service of society. As storytellers, as content companies, all of us have this contract. At Disney Star, we have huge belief in this contract and in fact treat this as our North Star. When we have paid attention to this, focused on this contract, we have been rewarded with success. When we have lost sight of this, the punishment has also been there. So curated content in India, if I think about when did it really explode, become massive, I have to go back to early 2000s. And a big component of this were, of course, the case serials from Star. 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗯𝗍 𝗂𝗵𝗲𝗃, 𝗂𝗽𝗱, 𝗂𝗃. Siddharth is on stage here today with me. He made one of those shows, Sanjeevani. What did all of these shows have in common, other than the fact that they were on Star Plus and that they are back on Star Plus in afternoons these days? Well, all of this content was not just entertaining India, but was for the first time putting women at the center of storytelling. That was the big, massive change happening at scale for the first time in our country, right? We have a 100-year-old film industry, but it was only 20 years ago with the start of television, which put corporates, right? People who were earning their salaries by serving fans well, that this decision got taken and done at scale of putting women at the center of storylines. The impact was massive and significant. The best chronicle of it was done by two American scholars working for the University of Chicago. This entire study is available online. You can go to Google and look it up. They went to households in 2000, 2001 before they got satellite television, and then went back to the same households 3 years later after they had been exposed to all of these shows that my company and other companies like mine were making in this time. The results were this. Women's preference for male children fell by 20%. Tolerance for domestic abuse decreased by 10%. And an additional 8% of girls between the ages of 6 and 10 were now going to school. And if girls were going to school, then in those households, at least 10% of them were now being thought ready to go to college. So the impact that just this one decision that storytellers were taking on society has been this massive. Just tells us. So there is a lot of power in this room. Sometimes we lose sight of it. Now, when I think of this, right, there are 3 different phases of this that I see happening over the last 20 years. Phase 1, which started in the year 2000, is what the Chicago study was able to deeply examine. That was, when I look back today, really quite simple. It was saying that, you know what, all our posters and our lead protagonists would be women, right? So if you think about a poster of 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗯𝗍 𝗂𝗵𝗲 𝗂𝗃 even today, you think of Smriti Irani. It's very hard to figure out who the male hero with her was. The same thing is true for all the other really, really big shows that were made at that time. So women were put at the center. They were given voice. And that was phase 1. The year it starts is 2000. Now 10, 11 years later, I had an opportunity to play a little bit of a bit role, is when the next phase started, which is where it wasn't really enough for a woman to be at the center. It wasn't enough for the woman to have a say in important family decisions. The woman did more and got support from her husband, from her in-laws, to actually go out and work and become a successful professional. To my mind, the start of this phase is a show that I did with the great 𝗙ecie 𝗵𝗹𝗶, and the show is दी और बाती हम, where the husband tells the wife, saying, you have great talent, incredible ambition, and the husband is a sweet shop seller. And he tells the wife, saying, you are so good, so talented, so you can be an IPS officer. So that was the storyline of a show that was watched by millions of people in our country, right? And this is phase 2, where television was telling people that, you know what, there is no ambition, there is no job that a woman can't do. And actually it's perfectly fine in a relationship for the woman to have the more powerful position. The husband will support this, right? So now this was incredible, and this was phase 2. But even in phase 2, something was sacred. The institution of marriage, right? It wasn't yet time to question it. That started in phase 3, and that started in 2020. We are in the start of phase 3. And that started with a show that I'm incredibly proud of. It's a show called 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗏. I hope. Thank you. So 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗏 is a show that is watched by 250 million people in our country over a couple of months, right? Now, the storyline of 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗏 is what is incredibly powerful. Why is that so? Because 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗏 comes to the conclusion that if you have no respect in your marriage, if you are truly taken for granted, bullied, misguided, cheated upon, then this marriage is no marriage for you to stay in. This marriage, it is actually a dharma to walk out of, right? And secondly, that even if you are 45, you can start a new life. You can find love again. You can find marriage again. And these are all things that 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗏 has done and has been cheered upon by all of India. So I believe this is today, we are all in phase 3. And these kind of storylines are possible and probable on entertainment across linear TV and online entertainment. And this is something that doesn't get understood and acknowledged well enough. There is another point that I wish to make. Often, people like me are given a bit of a choice to say, you know what, you can either do things for profit or you can do so for the larger social good. I believe that often this is a false choice. We can and we must do both. And to explain this, I want to tell you a story about what happened to me and what my team did to me about 7 years ago.
Sitting here in this room, I think they deserve a much huger applause. And because we are talking about what is a very nascent industry compared to, say, movies that have been around for 110 years, everyone here on this platform, on this stage, is actually a migrant to the medium. Literally everyone was working somewhere else and then came on to OTT as an industry that exists. I'm going to start with you, Gaurav. Seniors in my college used to call you G-Ban. I think you still call that. The screen that you handled when it comes to OTT was called Hotstar. It's now Disney plus Hotstar. You moved from television. According to you, how different is OTT as we know it now from what television was or has been? And you took us through a wonderful cultural history of satellite television. How different is satellite television from OTTs as we know it now?
So thanks, Mayan. Yes, I think it is different. We started on this journey about 7 years ago. But we have always thought of the creativity part to be really similar. So one of the very different business decisions that we took is that every piece of content that we were making for our TV network, we decided to put it first on our OTT. So I don't know if you know this, but 𝗂𝗵𝗻𝗶, which you could see I'm a bit proud of, comes every morning at 6 a.m. on Disney Plus Hotstar. And that's how it has always been since 2015. So, you know, there is a little bit of a, sometimes I feel a caste system that gets, you know, casually thrown around saying, okay, this is TV and that's not really great, but, you know, OTT is a lot better, and of course cinema is a hell of a lot better. So since I am, you know, I still am in the service of TV, and TV serves 700 million Indians every day. That's something that I think all of us should be incredibly proud of. And therefore, I think when it comes to the creative answers, right, I feel a lot of them are the same, you know. So I think a good show is a good show is a good show. And there is so much data that I have that essentially proves this. And that's equally true for films, right? So we put out at least 30 films on our OTT service every year. And then all of them we put out on our TV network as well. The results are startlingly similar, right? So I think people keep sort of believing that it's sort of radically different. It isn't. But I think in one way, the distribution channel does make a difference, which is that our TV screens, people watch together very often, right? So it's for family viewing as a default setting. Whereas OTT in India, and that's also something very different for our market versus, let's say, the United States, people watch it on their mobile phones, right? So that allows for a lot of the content to be watched solo. And that allows also perhaps for edgier themes as one distinction, and second for content duration to be different, right? So shorter stories, shorter episodes are certainly a little bit more convenient.
Right. Let me also introduce Shreyansh Pandey, who's just joined us. I guess you got stuck in traffic. You were the traffic. So, Shreyansh, you started out, Shreyansh, of course, is the creator of amazing shows like Good Luck, Aspirants, which is actually a show on YouTube. Good Luck is a show on Sony Live. Now, when you have a show on YouTube, you guys actually started out as a YouTube collective, and then you get onto an OTT platform. Obviously, how different is it to be on YouTube as against on an OTT platform? Of course, there's the one bit about instant gratification where everyone's pressing likes and giving you comments on YouTube that doesn't happen on OTTs, right? How different is it when you put out a Good Luck on Sony Live as against an Aspirants on YouTube?
So I think, Mayank, for us, the journey has been entirely different. You know, I just heard when Gaurav sir said that we are completing 100 years in this industry, and we are just 10 years old. This year we completed the 10th anniversary of TVF. And, you know, we are, as creators, as a collective, as a brand, as a company, we are the ones who have been born in this generation.
Right.
So, you know, while, yes, there is a lot of audience, we came into existence because of this very unique set of audience who were not getting entertained from the television or let's say the shows which were being run at that time, and they wanted something fresh, they wanted something new. I feel it's a cycle, you know. It's not something that happens in once in a century. I think that is something which happens every maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years. People get bored of what they are watching, and that is the very time which calls for innovation, which calls for some new thing that we can do with the content. The idea for us, or maybe you can call it the motive, was very simple. While YouTube was a very good distribution medium for us, we always wanted to make platform agnostic content. You know, when Gaurav sir said that the stories are pretty much the same, the fundamentals of storytelling is not going to change. It is same for The Godfather, it is same for Succession. So I think there are fundamentals which will not change, but yes, if you just have to put a term to it, I'll say maybe the early adopters of a medium, or you can say the ones who take a decision, or let's say the core viewership. I think that changes. That changes whenever some disruption happens with the technology, or let's say essentially in the distribution mechanism. I think those are the people, those are the early propagators who actually take your content somewhere. Something like a Gullak, or for that matter, Panchayat, works very well for a family audience. People, just like how people have been watching a lot of linear programming shows collectively in the room. These are the shows which are enjoyed by families sitting together in their living room and binging on it. But at the same time, if you don't have that, those maybe one or two people in that family who actually become the advocate for your content, who actually take it to their family WhatsApp groups, take it to their families and say कि यार ये हमें साथ में बैठ के देखना चाहिए, पापा आप क्यों नहीं देख रहे हो? I think if you don't do that, then it's sort of, at times it might become difficult to translate to that group. So, if I have to answer your question in one line, we still aim to make platform agnostic content. So whether there is a Gullak releasing on Sony Live, or there is an Aspirants releasing on YouTube, or there is a Panchayat releasing on Amazon Prime Video, I think fundamentals remain the same for us. The fundamentals of storytelling are same.
Right. Of course, I'm going to take it to three people in the middle right now at the center. Divya, Siddharth, Nikhil. You guys are what, of course, Siddharth, you've done a lot of television as well, but typically I would describe you as Bollywood, right? You guys are Bollywood guys. How different is Bollywood from OTT? I'll start with you, Divya. You have a theatrical release coming up. How different does it feel to when you have something coming up on an OTT platform for you as an actor personally?
Very good morning, everyone. See, as actors, I mean, I'll talk as an actor. When a role comes to you, sometimes it's difficult to just say, I mean, if somebody's coming to you, I'll just say, ये web series है, कि ये film है. कई बार आप differentiate ही नहीं कर पाते, when आपको एक छोटा सा short synopsis सुनाया जाता है. लेकिन when you hear it in such length, वो जो इतना detailing करके they tell you, okay, this is going to be a web show comprising of 9 episodes or 11 episodes or whatever that is. This is detailed. So what happens is your roles automatically become very layered. There is time for the director, for the producer to just give you that time as a graph. Vis-a-vis when you do a short film probably, where it's quicker, and then a film. But the audience, I must say, is changing a lot, and I think especially after the pandemic, there's been a huge difference and a huge shift. Because it has been in many ways a lifesaver, I must say. Because सब घर पे बैठे थे, आप झाड़ू भी कर रहे हैं, कटका भी कर रहे हैं, खाना भी बना रहे हैं. But you need some entertainment. We live on media and entertainment. We are social beings. We need to connect. We need to get entertained. And there was just one thing we counted on, was the OTTs and the good shows that were coming in that time. And I do remember half of the shows were already done. We shot for a few shows and few were left because it was already a lockdown. And then how in between that period when everyone was masked up and everything, you were finishing that content to bring it on, and you're just getting those immediate responses, like you were just asking Shreyans how the responses are. They've been so amazing. Instantly you get responses. Instantly you know somebody's really watching shows because the kind of messages and the social media being connected so beautifully. The world's just suddenly become so much more smaller. You just click a finger, you choose a Korean show, you choose a Hindi show, you choose an English film. What do you want? Whatever you want, a Telugu film. Anything that you want is right there at a click of a finger. So the world is smaller and your responses to it are even smaller. I mean, the world is just right there, telling you, giving you their feedbacks. It's not anymore that, what do you say, hard to get वाला वो जो था एक unapproachable वो चीज़ है ही नहीं अब. Everything is right there in front of everyone. So that's really nice. For me as an actor, what has changed is I wanted to do something different as an actor always. But back then, like say about 10 years back, when I did a Veer Zara or a 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗃 or something, people didn't know where to place me. They said, ये actor अच्छी है, ये lead वाला role तो वो कर रही है, ये बहुत अच्छा role है, but इस role को कहते क्या हैं? Today, उस role को ही lead कहते हैं. And that's a huge difference. वही role सब करना चाहते हैं. Today, everyone wants to do, अच्छा, anybody who comes to me, I'll say, अच्छा, ये वाला role, they say, this is for you. This starts from here, here, here. And I'll ask, अच्छा, वो दूसरे क्या कर रहे हैं? वो भी यही करना चाहती हैं. तो it's changing, and it's so heartening to see things are changing. The directors, the writers are getting what they want to do thanks to the audience who are wanting new stuff coming in their way. They don't want the stereotypical एक hero था, एक heroine थी, or मतलब all that stuff is like passe in many ways, unless you show it on a grander way, where you really want to go see it on a bigger screen. So we've kind of demarcated things कि ये picture मैं theater में देखूँगा, ये पिक्चर मैं OTT पे देखूँगा, ये तो TV पे कभी ये शो मैं TV पे देखूँगा. There's such a different audience out there. So I'm very mesmerized sometimes what is happening really, kind of trying to get a hang of it. But yes, I must say there's lots of consumption of lots of content, and that's good times in many ways.